Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here today, bringing you the new subclasses from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. And first up, we're bringing you the Way of the Ascendant Dragon Monk. So, we're going to go over all of the abilities, and we're going to rate them based on roleplay value, combat value, and overall class synergy based on how the abilities gained in the subclass improve on the base class abilities. That's right. Also, we're going to make any notes and mentions of any changes from Unearthed Arcana to the final edition here, so we can discuss those as well. But before we get into that, we do have a giveaway for the D&D Beyond Players Bundle, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Free stuff to be entered in that as well. But before we jump into the video, we do have our sponsor today, which is Peril and Pigment. Yes. We have these miniatures here. Yes. They're painstakingly hand-painted minis. Yes. Probably the best hand-painted minis that I've ever seen. They're super detailed. They put like a little extra texture and stuff on some of these as well. There's some really cool ones on their site. Every single one is one of a kind. They paint it and they put it on the site and it's sent off. Right, yeah. If you buy it, there's not going to be another one like it. They might remake more later with different paint schemes and stuff, but each one you get is going to be unique. That's why we have all dragons except for these two beholders, because these are two that are from Peril and Pigment. So definitely check them out, guys, so you can help support us and support the channel, support them as well, because they're great. Yes. So we'll just jump straight into it from there. Alex, what do we get starting off with dragons? Yes. So, the theme. Yes, starting off at level 3, you have Draconic Disciple. You can channel your draconic power to magnify your presence and imbue your unarmed strikes with the essence of a dragon's breath and gain the following benefits. Draconic Presence if you fail an intimidation or persuasion check. You can use your reaction to re-roll the check as you tap into the mighty presence of dragons. Once this feature turns a failure into a success, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. I do like that it's bad luck proof. I will get that in very quickly. Right. So you can keep doing that until it triggers a success on that reroll. So if you fail it the first 4 times, you just keep doing that sucker until it finally hits on. You got insurance. Yes. You have bad luck insurance. Also, you have Draconic Strike. Whenever you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can choose that damage type between acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison damage, which is all the type of breath weapon elements. There you go. Imagine that. Very, very cool. And also you have Tongue of the Dragons, which you learn to speak, read, and write Draconic, or one of the language of your choice. Like if you've already got Draconic because you're playing Dragonborn, or your background might give that to you, you can choose another language of choice. Yeah. Do love that, because there are some older stuff that just says you get this language. If you already have it, it's kind of wasted. So. Yeah, and that's actually one of the changes they made from Unearthed Arcana. It was just you can do all those things with Draconic. Now it's that or something else, which is nice. Yes. Then also at level 3, we have a Breath of the Dragon. I wonder what this is going to do. You channel a destructive wave of energy. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation of draconic energy in either a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line that's 5 feet wide. You can choose how you want to do it either way. And then when you do choose that, you also have to choose a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Each creature in the area makes a dex save against your key save DC, taking damage of the chosen type equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die on a fail or half as much on a success. And then the best part about this is it actually scales up. So at level 11, you're going to get 3 rolls of the martial arts die damage. And then when you use this feature, you can only do it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You're getting all expended uses on a long rest. Or, while you have no uses available, you can spend 2 key points to do it again. So you have some more utility with key points and usages there. Next up, at 6, we have Wings Unfurled. When you use your Step of the Wind feature, you can unfurl spectral draconic wings when you're back and vanish at the end of your turn. While the wings exist, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. Use the feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and gain all expended uses back on a long rest. If you recall from base Monk, Step of the Wind is you can use 1 key point to either dash or disengage as a bonus action. So essentially you can turn this into I'm trapped around. Not only can I just disengage and run away, I can just essentially what's going to become is like a long leap to something else, because you're going to have flying until the end of your turn until your movement speed runs out. Right. So you can, dash across a gap to chase something or over a building. If it's some kind of geographic, obstruction, you can get around it pretty quickly with that feature. And actually, some changes with that with the Unearthed Arcana. For the breath weapon, rewind a little bit. It was, you could spend 1 key point to do it again, and they increased it to 2, so they kind of nerfed it a little bit. And then for the flying here, it was long rest recovery to be able to do it again, but you could also spend a key point to do it again.
Right.
Well, they removed that, so now it's just proficiency bonus uses a number of times. So kind of a little bit of nerf on there as well. But yeah, then we have at level 11, the Aspect of the Worm. As a bonus action, you can create an aura of draconic power that radiates 10 feet from you for 1 minute. For the duration, you gain one of the following effects of your choice. You have 2 different options. First is the Frightful Presence. When you create the aura, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, which is important, you can choose a creature within the aura. Now, mind you, it's 10 foot, so you're probably going to be standing right next to it. Or have to be at least one square away from standing right next to it. The target must make a wisdom save against your key save, DC, or become frightened of you for 1 minute. Target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a successful save. It's similar to the Dragon's Frightful Presence, but there is one actually important thing that isn't mentioned, which is with the Dragon's Frightful Presence, when you make the save, you're immune for 24 hours.
Right.
This is not, so you could continue to keep doing it
Yes.
if you wanted to keep triggering that frightened and disadvantage and stuff continually. The other option you have, though, is Resistance, which is pretty solid as well. You choose a type when you activate the aura: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. You and your allies within the aura have resistance to that damage. Once you create the aura, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend 3 key points to create it again. So with this, the major change on here, it was an Unearthed Arcana. It cost 4 key points, so they reduced it to 3 to reuse it.
Yep.
And they added the Frightening Presence. And there was actually something where it was adding extra elemental damage to an attack from an ally of that damage type. It's kind of in the Ranger.
That'll come back around on another video.
But yeah, so they just kind of got rid of that and just changed it to the Frightening Presence, essentially, on there.
Finally, at 17, we have Ascendant Aspect. You get 3 different benefits as part of this one ability. You have Augment Breath. When you use your Breath of the Dragon, you can spend 1 key point to augment its shape and power. The dragon energy becomes either a 60-foot cone or a 90-foot line that's still 5 foot wide, your choice. Each creature area takes damage equal to 4 rolls of your martial arts die on a failed save or half successful, which by there is a d10. So you're looking at 4d10 damage on that Augment Breath. You also have Blind Sight out to 10 feet. Anything with, inside your aura, if that's what you got to think about, it's inside that range. You can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you were blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see invisible creatures within that range unless the creature successfully hides from you. And finally, we have Explosive Fury. When you activate your Aspect of the Worm, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see within your aura. Each of those creatures must succeed on a Dexterity saving throw versus your key save DC, or take 3d10 acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison damage, your choice. One thing that Jameson brought up to me that I had missed when we first read through this, it does not say half on a successful throw. Right. This damage is an all or nothing save. I wish it wasn't, but that's the way it's in there. So
yeah, and some of the changes with this that they had on here in the Unearthed Arcana. Let me get this. It was the blind sight was 30 feet, so they reduced it down to 10. Also, I think I missed it. Did I say before? The aura was 30 feet as well. Yeah. So that's actually a pretty big difference, especially when you add in the explosion. That's another thing to factor in. Yep. So they did reduce the aura from 30 feet to 10 feet, and then the blind sight from 30 feet to 10 feet.
Yep.
And there was a dot effect, a damage over time effect with the breath instead of the augment. So they added the augmented breath option for a key point. It was you take a martial arts die every turn and make a save, and you can end it. So it's like a burn damage, essentially. And they actually reduced the explosion damage from 4d10 that they just took to 3d10 and a dex save. Right. So they really nerfed that one. And also, with the range being reduced as well, it's actually a pretty big nerf on there. But yeah, those are all the abilities gained in the subclass. So now we'll move on to the rating portion of the video. Asterisk, as always.
That's right.
Talking about roleplay value, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, we're interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order.
That's right.
Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background that's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how that might improve your potential in those role-play scenarios. So, all that being said, going through the abilities on here, you get some nice options. You get an extra language of your choice, potentially, if you already have Draconic.
Yep.
You have the Frightened condition, which can be used in RP in niche circumstances, but it can be used. You do have the option for a short duration fly, essentially, which can definitely help you get in places that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get to.
Yep.
The blind sight is nice, but it is only 10 feet. and the ability score, being able to re-roll those and have the insurance on getting a successful save.
Especially since it's only one a day, you're like, oh, I only try this once a day. Well, if you get one success a day out of it.
Right.
So
so that is nice, but as you kind of noticed, a lot of those things are more on the niche or limited side.
Yep.
So we gave it a 3.5 out of 5 for the role play potential on here. So it's some nice options for sure, but none of them are going to be game breaking when they come up. They'll be nice to have, but they're not anything crazy really.
Sure. On the combat side of things, where versatility and AoE are the theme of of the round here, starting off early on, being able to choose damage type between 5 different elements is great by itself, just for getting around immunities. And because there's nothing worse than having one damage type kind of be your thing from your subclass, or a spell you're casting and you find something that's resistant to it, or heaven forbid immune to it, because those definitely exist when you get into later game. But not only that, but kind of my hidden evil scheming immediately goes to, if you find something that happens to be vulnerable to any of these damage types, you're going to absolutely make them have a terrible day.
Yeah.
Because punch kick, flurry of blows, and then of course you can breath weapon something if you really for AoE. That's amazing. I love the fact that you can just change it at no cost. Versatility is incredible there. Again, the breath weapon is also part of that. The fact that it replaces just one of your attacks as part of the attack action helps let the monk do what the monk does, and just lots of small hits for damage. But the one thing that monks really struggle with in combat, even in close range, is being able to hit more than one thing at once. Otherwise, it's like, okay, you get a D8, you get a D8, and you get a D8, and that's it. Yeah. Being able to actually hit more than one thing is great, and you have the flexibility to kick once and then breath weapon or whatever. So
it gives you some versatility for multiple targets, because monks don't really innately have that.
No. And most importantly, was in here among all the things, is the fact that a lot of these abilities scale with you.
Yeah.
Something that I harped on really hard when we were talking about this, before we started recording, was that so many older abilities don't scale with you, and they feel like, oh, that feels really good through level 1 through 6, and then you get to 18, you're like, well, this is not really that impactful anymore. Yeah. But the fact that as your martial arts die grows, the damage is going to grow as well, and you're getting an extra roll at 11, and that feels great. Also, if you do run out of uses, you can keep spending key points to use it, so it's giving you more uses for your key points in combat.
Yeah.
The Wings Unfurled thing, it's a buff to your already existing, base monk ability of disengage and dash. So it's, like I said, with giving you fly, it allows you just to really get out of trouble or get to something on a dash if you really need to chase something down. But those options are both effective, just buffing what you already have. The aspect of Frightful Presence can be used. I think it's going to be better earlier on. Later game stuff is more prone to succeed against that save, but options are never a bad thing. The Resistance aura is what you're going to get more regular use out of. And the fact, again, that you can do it more than once a day if you spend the key points on it, and the fact that you can choose the different elemental type based on what you're fighting is great. And of course, the final thing, being able to choose just for one extra key point to make that breath weapon huge. Yeah, really give you an opportunity to hit a bunch of stuff at once, which for every other monk is like, what? You can do what? Right. Blind Sight's going to be really, really niche use. Yeah.
Especially at 10 foot.
At 10 foot, but just in case there is something invisible, or that you do have a chance to still see it. In the Explosive Fury, I don't like that it's all or nothing damage, but it's not costing you anything extra at this point. It's a buff to an aura you would already be using. So, end of the day, I can't really complain about extra damage at that point. Right. Score-wise, we went with a 4 out of a possible 5, because there's a lot of extra survivability and helping your damage floor with all the different damage type switches that you're able to do. Flying, get in and out of trouble for that little short burst, and AoE opportunities a lot of other monks don't really have.
I think that's one of the key things, is the AoE opportunity, and of course the ability to switch your resistances and switch your damage attacks. That's just very nice to have those options. Then lastly, we have the overall class synergy. And looking at the monks, the main thing you're going to be synergizing with is going to be key point usage, versatility for your key point usage, and maybe potentially even your key saves, essentially.
Right.
And with this subclass, you actually get a lot of those things. Basically, every level you're getting something that's going to give you synergy with your base class with your key points. You're getting extra uses for your key points. You're being able to change damage to bypass resistances, which can actually be very impactful, especially when you're wanting to get in there and you're doing lots of little attacks. It's going to add up.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about the BPS resistances so much. So that's definitely nice to have on there. And like I said, every level you're getting something. Something is going to be giving you some kind of synergy with your base class. Now, not all of it is like early on. Sure, the changing your damage type is great.
Yep.
But sometimes it's gonna not really make the most difference because if nothing's resistant to anything,
It's
it
not
doesn't
gonna
really
It's
matter.
just gonna be flavor at that point.
So, that being said, we went with a 4.5 out of 5
Yeah.
on the synergy side. So yeah, pretty solid overall. Lots of additional utility for your key points. Lots of utility for you in combat, giving you ways to bypass resistances, get some AoE options, which is great. You have a long line, you have a short cone. It lets you get into things that you can't necessarily reach. So yeah, it's giving you lots of versatility and a little short burst of flying and stuff never hurts either.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's interesting that it also lets the damage of your breath weapon scale up with your martial arts die.
Yes,
Instead of
yes.
being like just with your proficiency or whatever else, just the damage just doesn't flat scale up with your level,
Right.
definitely tied to your martial arts die as a monk. So if you did multi-class out of it, it would kind of punish you a little bit if you did too much.
yeah, that's
So it's really like, be a monk. You're a monk, be a monk. And with the extra resistances, of course, that all the elemental damage type you can do, and the fact that you, as a monk, eventually get proficiency in all saving throws, really helps your ability to deal with spell damage on top of that as well. If somebody, if somebody's going to be throwing throws and stuff like that at you, you're just like, I'm just going to be resisting fire and have advantage on saving throws against it. So I'm just not going to be taking damage from your fireball.
Right. So yeah, definitely very solid, very interesting. Probably one of my more favorite monk options that we had
on the short list for sure.
They needed some better options.
Yeah.
I think it did overall get a slight nerf. I mean, reducing the aura is huge.
It's really just reducing the aura that's the biggest
that
thing.
was a huge thing on there, reducing that aura, because 30 foot giving resistance to allies within 30 feet.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, I mean, it's
pretty good.
I mean,
you're not a paladin though. You're not a paladin.
Oath of Ancients Paladin
not
says, shh, don't look over here.
But
the only other poke when I was like, hey, we're not going to give this a 5 was the fact of I wish the Wings Unfurled didn't have the limitation to number of uses per day based on your proficiency bonus if you're only going to get flying till the end of your turn.
Right.
You have to spend a key point already to use the dash or disengage as a bonus action from the baseline feature. So I wish that didn't have the limitations per day, because it's not busted just to let you be able to more effectively get to or get out of something.
Right.
When a lot of other things, by the time it hits other levels, will be able to just outright fly all the time, or use some feature to get flying for a minute.
Right.
Or whatever else. So I wish it either just lasted for a minute and you could do it limited number of times, or if it was just the turn, you spent the key point.
Yeah, it is a little weird now too that they're adding more races that can fly. So it's like, is it really that big a deal? Who knows? But that's our thoughts, guys. Make sure, again, you check out the sponsors, Peril and Pigment. They have these great minis. If you're not into collecting minis, these are actually great gifts. We're getting around Christmas time, so could be really good gift for a DM. And the prices are actually really good.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
are pretty cheap too, so surprisingly, for how high quality they are. So definitely make sure you check them out. Put a link down below to check them. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you like the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. Leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching.